think of me. You hear love breakup songs. You think of me and wanna
Welcome, beautiful people. You're locked in to the Super Business Women Show on Intellectual Radio. I'm your host, Shar. Unlocked Love, Loans, and Lifestyle. This is where faith meets finance, purpose meets power, and every episode is key to your next level. Let's go. We have in the building with us Larice Billingsley. Billings.
Yes.
I didn't give you extra syllables at the end of it. And you tell us about yourself, Larice.
Well, people call me Saint Larice.
Saint Larice.
Yes.
Okay.
I am a certified etiquette consultant, the founder and CEO of Access to Etiquette. I teach social etiquette for modern society. I am the creator of this card game, No Etiquette. Is really
Okay.
cute. I have books, Brown Girl Guide to Femininity,
Okay.
The Power of First Impressions. I host websites, and I do a whole lot of other stuff. So.
Okay. So Saint Larice is a name that you really have to live up to.
Absolutely.
Let's indulge in that. What's the origin of Saint Larice? Why do people call you Saint Larice?
Oh my goodness. So that is a story. It's taken me a long time to actually tell where I got the name from. So I got it from a very dark time in my life. And I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
got it from a very dark time in my life. And I was basically a light for other women, and I was giving them hope. And they called me Saint Larice. And I'm like, I'm not no saint. I don't know anything about that. But that was in that time when I first learned about God, and when I discovered who I was in Christ. But they gave me that name, and I was a leader to them.
And you decided to keep it going forward?
Absolutely. Now, someone asked, what was that dark time? I might share it.
Yes,
I
that was my
might
next
share.
question, actually. What type of dark, what did you want to expand on what type of dark time it was?
Okay, well, I can share. I was in Cherokee County, Cherokee County, Georgia, and the judge said wrong place at wrong time. But long story short, I spent an entire year in prison.
What?
Yes, I spent the year in prison, and like I said, that's where I first picked up the Bible, and that's the name they gave me, Saint Larice. But when I got out, she said, "You can go live your life, just pretend like this never happened." All the charges dropped because I was innocent, but they were trying to charge me as a queen pin drug dealer. There were no drugs in my possession, no drugs in my car, nowhere to be found. And the officer basically said, "If you don't tell me where he got his stuff from, we're gonna charge you with it." And I lost
So,
everything, hit rock bottom, moved to Chicago with nothing to my name, and had to start my life all over again.
wow. There are a lot of people who come on the show who have very similar storylines to
Really?
life. Yes, it's well, not so much. It's almost like they were involved in something with the
Mm-hmm.
judicial system, and it ended up. I mean, they're on top. You know, I, did you know the person that?
It was somebody I barely knew. I only dated. It was based on, and I always teach this lesson. You have to watch the company you keep, because even if you're around them, you get thrown into the same pot that they're in. But it was a guy I was dating shortly. I didn't even know him for that long, and um, as long as I spent the whole year of my life away, right? And I've only knew him for like less than 3 months or so. So
Was he in trouble?
yeah, he was, and he was gone for a little bit of time. I think about 4 years. He's out now doing I don't know what, but I keep my distance. I'm a whole new person now, so
I
yeah,
always tell people you have to be careful about your circle.
absolutely.
Time and time again, I've seen. I knew a young lady back in the day who
Hmm.
had a degree and no background,
Hmm.
and she obtained a class X felony
Mm.
because of her
Who
inner
she was with?
workings with the guy she was with.
Yeah, at that time I was at the top of my world. Like I was getting ready to design for some major people, like my dream clients. I was doing a fashion show for Fortune. I'll just say Fortune 500 companies. And I thought it was a prank. I thought it was all fake. I thought, because I'm like, I'm on the top. I'm about to blow up. Everybody's gonna find out who I am finally. I get my dream clients, and I really thought it was like a setup, like a prank. I was waiting on a check, but nothing ever came, and
Did you
nobody ever
did
came.
did you have family there?
I didn't. So the family that I did have was dealing with mental illnesses, so nobody could really come.
Eh,
And when they took my phone, I didn't have any phone numbers. So if I didn't memorize my aunt's number, I I'd probably still be in there today, because if you don't have someone on the outside, you're just stuck. So people are looking for all these young Black women, and I'm like, check the prisons, but who's gonna actually check the
Oh,
prisons? They say
wow.
they're coming up missing, but nobody's gonna go check the prisons.
So if you can't write, can you write
Who? If
somewhere?
you have their address, if you memorize their address,
Well, you know your parents' address,
well, what if you don't have parents? What if you don't have,
loved ones,
yeah. What if you're like me? I was there by myself. I do have a parent, but she was dealing with mental illnesses, so she couldn't be there for me.
advocate for you.
And I thought that I was popular, so I thought I was gonna have like people outside with signs like "free her." Nobody
So
showed up.
you're only popular as long as you're able to help people. Seriously.
Right, right. So I felt like I was left for dead, and I decided, I'm going to come out, be forgiving, but I had to learn about building the right connections and creating lifelong relationships, and that's where etiquette comes in, and that's where that part is
So are
important.
you from Georgia?
No, I'm from Chicago. I went to Georgia for fashion design and marketing school. So if you see my page, you see me making a lot of different outfits. That's all of who I am. And I thought I would have to change that because of etiquette, but it's not about being someone else. It's about being the best version of you.
Authentically you.
Right.
I tell parents when my son was in college, I had to fly down there almost every other weekend for a bit. You have to keep an eye on them because
Whew.
as children get older, they
Mhm.
have liberties and freedoms that they didn't have before, and
Mhm.
their decisions aren't always the best. Like you technically didn't do anything wrong,
Well,
but it was the decisions that
absolutely.
yes.
I take full responsibility. Honestly, God was giving me every sign and telling me every step of the way, but I wasn't listening to that voice. But now I understand what that voice was. He was sending angels and women coaching me, telling me to get away from this guy. He's no good. And I did not listen to that voice. Um, when I finally did, it was too late. I
Wow.
was making excuses to go help him. That day, I was going to help him move. And I was like, what would Jesus do? I'm trying to be a good friend, but not using common sense. When the Spirit told me, get away from him, stay out there, stay away, don't look back. And
Did you know that he wasn't like
I
employed
no,
per
actually
se?
he had 2 jobs, and he came from a family with money. So I didn't understand, I
Why
he
you would be
and that
dealing
was a deal
drugs?
breaker for me as well. So when he was around me, he said, "I'm not about that life. I don't do that." So he would never bring that around me. So it was just all a surprise. It was like a shock. So I didn't ever thought that that was gonna happen to me. I was like, I would never,
Mm.
even when I was in that situation around women, I would never talk to, and it really it changed me. It changed my character because at first I was too bougie. I didn't want to touch nothing. Don't talk to me. Don't sit by me. Ill. Everybody. That's how I was. So
God has a way of humbling us.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
fast forward, you come home.
Mhm.
Do you start your etiquette business in Georgia? Do you start it in Chicago?
No. So I
What
came.
led you to etiquette? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So I came back to Chicago 2019, right before the pandemic, and I was home. Oh, well, at my cousin's house. That's where I stayed when I first came back immediately. And I came across the idea of etiquette, but I didn't know what it was. So I was like, I just thought it was about fork and spoon, being very pompous and stuck up, and I'm better than you,
Cutesy, demore.
Right, right. But honestly, etiquette is the opposite.
It is.
It's about making people feel comfortable and welcome around you, and putting people at ease. So sometimes we can be very nervous in situations that we've never been in, but etiquette prepares you for that. So
So how long have the business been in How long have you? When did you establish the business?
Okay. So I was studying I actually got my certification and someone offered me an opportunity. I worked for a year to make sure that it was a lucrative business before I got incorporated. So I was already building my brand before I got incorporated. And 7/11/23 is when I got incorporated, Access to Etiquette. Before I didn't even have a name, but I was waiting for God to tell me to, basically, I'll wait for you, God. Tell me what it's going to be called. And he said, Access to Etiquette. It came to me.
Amazing. So you started it in Chicago once you came to Chicago.
Absolutely.
So what inspired the cards, the books? What was your inspiration for that?
Well, especially for the cards, I like to make my classes fun. When people think of etiquette, they think it's not boring and just very cold and dry and black and white. But I like the cards have role playing and trivia and true and false questions. So it makes it a little fun, and entertaining. Etiquette isn't boring, it's in everything and it's everywhere. So,
So give me 3 examples of etiquette and everyone should have and we should always use it and not live without it.
whew. Three etiquette tips or
3 etiquette tips.
okay. One is not really a tip, but I always say treat people how you want to be treated. Um,
That's I always think
that's
it sound
subjective.
it is,
Yeah.
and it sounds relatively
Vague.
simple.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, like,
Uh-huh.
you would think that people that if we all did that, the world would be amazing.
Mhm.
But no, it's subjective.
Mhm.
And some people like foolery. So, some people are angry. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's not like so much of a tip, but I always like, even for all of my classes, I always say think about this, how do you want to be remembered? So keep in the back of your mind the impression that you're leaving on someone, cuz when we leave, how many pallbearers, you got to have 6 people carry you to the, you got to have people who actually like you, and you influence people. So it's about the impact. So the first thing I always I'll talk about my signature classes. One is the power of first impressions. Now, a lot of some things that people don't know is people judge you when the first 5 seconds they meet you,
absolutely.
and it's not on purpose. We were taught to not to judge a book by its cover, and a lot of times we're right. But we do that subconsciously, and it's like, what are people judging you on? They're judging you on your posture, your appearance, how you communicate, and how kind you are. That's the last part, because that's how people ultimately remember you.
So my son, we talked about this on a couple other shows. There's a difference between being nice and
And being
being
kind.
kind.
Hmm.
So my son always told me that I am very kind, but he doesn't think I'm extremely nice.
That's actually an important part of leadership as a woman in business, because you probably know being nice is just trying to get people to like you.
And I could care less.
Absolutely. I had that problem before I learned how to, I was always too nice, and I actually didn't really care if people liked me. And a client would tell me, like, oh, you're being too nice. And no, not a client, but someone saw me dealing with a client. And she said, you're being too nice. And I'm like, no, I'm being professional. But there's a way that you can be professional and firm, and handle it with care. So that's something that I had to learn and develop as I got older.
So I think that's I struggled with it because I said, do I want to be nice? And I said, I you're not going to be able to
No,
please the masses. You want to
no,
stand firm in who you are, and you
absolutely.
want to be your heart. Well, I think people, when you say kind,
Mhm,
it's a heart condition.
mhm,
When
mhm.
you say nice, you give your heart to others.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that.
So what are your other tips? Well,
Since we were talking about that, being able to hold your boundaries without being very harsh, you can do it in a graceful manner, and that's a whole lesson
well,
on that way.
give me an example. Now that I probably need, because I say what I mean what I say, and that's it.
Well, sometimes, like, say if I want to be straightforward with someone, but I don't want to hurt their feelings, I would say it in a joking manner. For instance, I manage a big team of 15 people, And one girl, she always say she don't want to do something. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And instead of saying, well, you ain't, I could easily be like, you're lazy, da, da, da.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I just said, you don't want to do anything, do you? As a joke. And she's like, no, I do. And then when she started talking and explaining, then she breaks down, and then I can actually get her to commit to do a little bit more. So just coming at a different approach to get them to open up. But
That
yeah.
makes sense. That's
I said
actually,
it in a jokey way, like we got to get it together and let her know that we're in this boat together, but you got to get it together. You got to come on.
it's like, why did you come to work if you don't want to?
Right, exactly.
See, me, I would have said, well, maybe since you don't want to do anything today, go
You
home,
can go
rest,
home,
and we'll talk
clock
tomorrow.
out. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we live in a very sensitive generation. And I would say like etiquette is needed now more than ever, because a lot of people do most of their communication through digital devices, and they can't communicate properly face to face nowadays. So I was like,
So
we need that.
there's always a divide, or I'm texting, or I made a post, and if I don't have glasses, because I wear glasses, I will utilize caps. So, or if I'm being lazy, to be honest, I don't want to
Mhm.
use exponent or talk to
Oh,
text.
you say you use caps. Okay.
I use, you said, ooh.
Ooh, don't text
So,
me in caps. I'll
so
be like, you
people are,
what you mad?
so people, it starts a whole argument,
Mhm.
or I should say,
It sets the tone.
so listen, you guys are not to be sensitive, because A, I'm probably doing 5 things at one time.
Absolutely.
B, it's not that serious. We're texting or I'm posting. It's not that
Mhm.
serious.
Mhm.
I have not given one. If I'm going to have a conversation of that magnitude, it won't be through text. So
Mhm.
you don't have to be sensitive about caps. I've told people, you guys need to go lay on the couch. You need a hug.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
need a hug.
Yeah. Well, people will misunderstand that, and that's where if without etiquette, it's a lot of misunderstandings, miscommunication, missed opportunities, because people might have took something the wrong way, and people are in their feelings. Like I said, they don't remember what you said or did. They remember how they felt at the end of the
The
day.
problem is that this society is as my
Mhm.
pastor, the late great Bishop Arthur Ambrosier, used to say, you got a spaghetti spine. Listen, nobody, we have to get better, because if somebody texts me in all caps, it's just all caps.
Mhm.
It's all caps. I don't understand the.
Well, most people that text in all caps are angry. They want you to hear exactly what they
I'm not
said.
angry if I listen. If I want you to hear it, the person that I am, I normally pick up the phone. We're having that conversation in person,
Mhm.
because I don't want you to miss the tone, the context,
Absolutely.
or anything I have to say.
But like, it's just knowing that they might take it the wrong way. So then choosing like, okay, let me
Jesus,
not just text it,
Lord have
text capital
mercy.
letters, because you want to keep the relationships going too, especially if you're a leader, because the people don't leave jobs, they
So
leave leadership.
So what happens? What if I just happen to like caps, or I can't really see? Like I don't like to wear
maybe
glasses.
maybe you could I don't know, it might be too much, but priming people and be like, look, like even for instance text message etiquette,
Mhm.
I'm not a text person, so I like just pick up the phone and call me, so I would let people know when we first meet, like, look, I don't text that much, I might miss your text. I prime them to let them know, don't expect me to respond right away, or if I can't see well, I'm gonna text in cap because I can't see, so no, don't take it some type of way. So I know that's a lot of effort to kind of prime people before you message them.
So we're in a day and age where we're having a conversation, and I have to prime you with my shortcomings, because glasses are an issue for me. So I have to prime you for us having a
Well, you
conversation.
don't have to. That's the thing. You don't have to. It's just a suggestion, just knowing that somebody could get offended.
So okay, so people will be offended. I guess people
Yeah.
are easily offended.
Yeah, I mean, it's different levels. You know how like in the Bible it's like a sin is a sin. So say if is it something like somebody passed gas, or they without saying excuse me, I'm sorry, I burped or
No,
something.
I get it.
And they, instead of doing it right here, just out of respect for you, they know you're not going to like the smell, so they're going to get up and go out there and do it, right?
Well, that's a
So there's
personal
a
moment.
consideration.
That's a personal moment.
But I was just trying to bring up the idea of consideration. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I know this person isn't going to like that. Let me do this so I won't rub them the wrong way.
So, what happens when you deal with a multitude of people? I don't have time to be assessing feelings on
Well,
a daily
that's the
basis.
thing. You're
I,
not going to be able to please everybody. And that's the number one rule I teach is everybody's not going to be happy with the way that you carry yourself or how you speak. Everybody's not going to be pleased. At the end of the day, you have to be okay with you and confident in the decisions that you make. But it's just making an effort. That's all it is. Yeah.
okay. My people understand. They're balanced, they're sane, they're emotionally stable. So
Mhm.
nobody's taking those little tidbits. I hope not.
Hopefully. Okay. Well, I would say being a woman of your word. Because when you don't keep your word, and I'm actually being vague because people need to come to an actual class. We're having a real class where we actually practice things, and you know, people are expecting we do fine dining and table manners, which we will do at this workshop. But before that, you got to get invited to the party, right? So we'll be talking about what they're judging on. We actually put things into practice, even the conversations or how to introduce yourself. So yeah.
So that was 3. What's the most challenging thing with etiquette that you have discovered, especially with adults?
Um, well, what's challenging to me is a lot of adults don't think they need it. They be like, "Oh, my child needs etiquette." But if you carried yourself in a certain
Your
way,
child wouldn't need it.
right. So that's one thing. And I think I wanted to mention social media etiquette because one thing I see business people do is go on there and vent and complain about other clients and put all their personal business. There's a saying, don't do private things in public places, and social media is a public platform. So everyone should know the inner details of your life. But a lot of people I understand being transparent and showing people to try
Well,
to
there's a
connect with
difference
them, but
between a testimony and sharing your testimony and putting all your business out there.
absolutely.
So I get it. Also, I've seen that too, where you went in and talked really poorly about a client. That's and I wanted to utilize your services, and I'm thinking, what happens if it goes bad with us down the line?
Mhm.
And for men, there's been men that were interested in trying to date me years
Mhm.
ago. And he was so active on social media and was talking trash talking trash like a girl.
Mm.
I was like, I would never,
Mhm.
ever entertain this
Mhm.
because you a girl. And when
Absolutely.
I say you a girl, I mean chatty.
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
never entertain that
Mhm.
because if you and I have a falling out or if we're not aligning on something,
Mhm.
you're gonna take it to social media.
Absolutely. People decide if they want to deal with you or not.
I kept moving, thank God.
Yeah. Even businesses, I was looking for a hairstylist and someone recommended a girl. And I was looking at her page and I didn't see no pictures of hair, just drama. No pictures of hairstyles, just drama, drama, drama. But she's really good. But
I
I wouldn't
think
know.
I think hairstylists live in that bubble with drama sometimes, and I think
Hmm.
their clients sometimes are drawn to the
Okay,
drama.
I guess. But I'm okay. She
Y-
missed out on the
No,
opportunity.
I've passed some people for the very same thing. I don't
Yeah.
want the chaotic energy
Hmm.
because I don't. Yeah, I did the
Yeah.
same. So tell us what's in that book.
So this book, so it's called A Brown Girl's Guide to Femininity. It's a 30-day guide. This is like my beat up version.
Hmm.
I'm so so each day is a different thing that you can do to help you develop. I'll have you finding scriptures for every day, creating quiet time with God, basically practical things that you can implement into your everyday to um, just I wouldn't say become more feminine, but explore your femininity.
So I have been exploring feminine energy because I did not want to come off with total masculine energy. My physical appearance
Mhm.
always screams femininity, but sometimes my profession, my birthright place
Mhm.
in the family, and the fact that I'm a mother of boys
Absolutely.
gives off masculine. So I've been exploring feminine energy.
Okay. Okay. Well, and you just it's a balance. It's about you have to have both. No being is just feminine or just masculine. You have to have both to survive,
Do
right?
you think men need both?
Yes, men do need both. They need that caring side, that understanding side, like I said, it's not a gender, it's a let me read this first page. No,
Okay, she wants to read the first
a
page.
little
It
part. I'm
says,
not gonna read all
I
of it,
love it.
but because I'm talking about is not just for is it says men can also tap into their feminine side while women can embrace their inner masculinity. These energies are not exclusive to one gender. Anyone can harness them to live a more balanced and harmonious life.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah. So yeah, we can both tap into it.
I can tap into, well, you would think I would be tapping into more masculine energy, but I'm
Yeah.
tapping into more feminine energy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yes.
Well, I've
It
been
feel
trying.
good.
It's a process, it's
Mhm.
different. One of the things with femininity and the feminine energy, they tell you that you need to relax more. You don't go after things. You're not a hunter.
Mhm.
There's a part of me that goes after everything I want
Absolutely.
and I go
Absolutely.
after it vigorously.
Yes.
So
That's just you operating in your feminine. I like look at me operating in my feminine, but it's you have to it's how you're
I've
gonna
been
survive.
I've been pulling back because that's masculine energy.
Mhm.
Being a hunter, going
Yes.
after vigorously, that's masculine energy. So
Mhm.
they tell you to pull back.
Mhm.
And it's less control.
Mhm.
And
And
that's very
and letting
difficult.
things flow to you.
Yes.
So it's like becoming a magnet to the things that you want
All
because
things,
it's gonna
yes.
come anyway. So it's kind of like just sitting and waiting to receive your things, but you also have to position yourself. Like you know how people say, "Oh, it's just gonna happen." No, it's not just gonna happen. You have
No.
to be intentional. You have
Extremely
to
intentional.
position yourself to
Yes.
bring those things
You
towards
have to be in
you.
alignment.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You have to be in alignment to all offers, all blessings of
Mhm.
yes. I
Mhm.
agree with you.
Mhm.
So when is your next event?
It is Sunday, June 22nd coming up. The last one was January. I do it about 3 times a year. It is a class, but it's also a tea party. So it's etiquette and tea.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, were there men there? So probably not, right?
Sometimes the men just want to come to some of them want to invest. Some of them want to just see, it's
Pretty women.
yes. But yes, sometimes there are men in there. I would love to have classes where they're both men and women, where the men can understand it from, like, for instance, I have parents come to class with students so they can know what their students are learning. So it'd be great to have both genders in a class. Now, when I'm working with my teens, I do have boys and girls. And I love that the boys will come back and be like, I learned this, or I remember when I was going to do this on social media and I remember what you said and I decided not to, right? So that makes it exciting. I would love to have both genders.
I can see where that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can see where that would be interesting.
Yeah, but I would have to have a male leading that class with me so he can talk about, because I talk about how we walk to our seats and how we sit down, how we enter a room. A lot of people come into a room, their back is closed, their phone is clutched in their hand because they're nervous. And, the phone is a safety thing.
It
Everybody always
is.
goes straight to their phone when
It
they're
is.
nervous. So just walking in a room with executive presence, with your phone in your bag, attentive alert, introducing yourself, saying hello when you come into the room. That makes a difference. That makes you memorable. But yeah, I would love to have men come so they can show how to properly, because sometimes even people think the way for a man to open a door is just to open a door and let the woman in, right? But actually, he has to open a door and then step in and hold the door for you. Because what if it's a killer on the inside? So the gentleman steps in first.
Well, hopefully it's not a killer. I don't.
But he, just to make sure it's safe, it's a certain way to do.
So,
things. So,
so Saint Laurice, if there is a killer on the inside,
oh,
she's gonna get it because he's invited her in.
yeah, he gotta watch first. He gotta make sure the coast is clear, and then
So you have to give them precise instructions because I have boys. Do you have any children?
I don't have children, but I wish I had you. I want kids. Now, I work at a elementary school as well, and so those are my babies too.
So that's why you still want kids because you don't have any.
Yeah. Yeah, I love kids, and I do a workshop with the Blessed Child. I call it the Blessed Child is a nonprofit organization, but the program I do is called Manners for Minis, and so they are so cute. I have them making puppets and like acting out good manners and things. It's so cute.
So what are the ages for the minis?
For men, starting at age 6 to about 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what's the youngest you've worked with?
I'll say who is my youngest student? Maybe Ava. I think my youngest student is probably like 4 or 5.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
I would love to see my nephew. He's 5. You're
Well,
teaching him manners.
all he has to do is watch you, and he gonna and the people around him. Yeah, I honestly don't think kids. Well, I have the parents coming with the kids, but I don't think kids should take the class. The parents should take it.
The parent should take the class so they can
Yeah.
reinforce. Well, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Oh.
So when are your classes? Do you
um
have individual classes? Is there monthly classes or
actually I just schedule them. Well, I collaborate with different people. So um if someone is like hey, it's just sporadically. It's all over here, honestly. But they're keeping I keep them going. I probably do if I'm not doing a class, I'm doing a public speaking engagement. So I usually just go out. People just book me out for now. So
so what happens on the public speaking engagement? Tell me a little bit about that.
usually is there's different topics. I didn't even really try to pursue that lane, but I was like, I would love to go and tell my story. And I've actually never, I don't even tell the people who book me my story until I actually get there.
Why not? Why do you withhold
Because I
that?
don't know if they're gonna reject me. Like, oh no, she been to prison. Like no.
Was it
So
jail or prison? Because you
both,
probably were.
both. I was in the jail. Okay, I had to wait 10 months for a court date. So I literally sat there for 10 months.
Was it because of COVID?
No, COVID wasn't here yet. It's because they just weren't doing their jobs.
Was it the state or federal charges?
It was state. It was state. And then when I went to the 11th month, they sent me to Lee Arundel State Prison for 30 days, and that was hell on earth. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Like, oh, it was terrible.
I'm sorry for you.
It's okay. I survived through it, and it's a lot of women who, um, they still reach out to me now. I used to write music. Have you ever seen Sister Act?
Yes.
That I was really like, I had an opera singer come in. Hey, Amy, if you get to see this, she would come in and give us voice lessons, and they had me write music for them, and we put on performances, and people came in from outside to see my choreography and I wish there were cameras there. It was like I had people singing about God who did not believe, who were not believers, and they were praising and praying, and yeah, it was something.
I am one who knows that God doesn't make mistakes. Do you think that you were there by design to save souls?
Absolutely, because I knew that, I was not for 1 second, because I knew that I was innocent. I knew that God was gonna see me through, and I wanted to look back on that time like I handled that like a G. I wanted to look back at that time and be like, I utilized it. I wrote books. I studied the Bible. I had workbooks, dictionaries, everything to break it down. I planned my life out for when I came home. I planned out my whole brand, St. Laurice, even though I didn't know where I was going to stay when I got out. I didn't know if I was going to have, funds to get an ID and get a job and get back and forth to work. It was a lot of things that I did not know, but I left that to God, and it was better than it was before I went in there.
Did you make sure you got that expunged?
They said that it won't be on my record. It hasn't it hasn't bothered me so far after getting, I was able to get my passport again. I was able to um
Just the arrest itself has to be expunged because
mhm,
even though you did not get a conviction,
mhm,
the arrest will still show. We have something called a IR number, which is an internal record number. It's like credit report. It's like your
mhm,
social security number. Everything you do, every arrest goes underneath that number.
mhm.
So what I need you to do is take time and just get it expunged. Get it never happened. So the conviction's not there, but or did the courts perhaps take care of it for you?
I believe they did. She said, "Pretend like this never happened. This is not going to stop you." I have gotten background checks and passed clear colors. Nothing came up, so I just pretend like it never happened. It's really hard to look back at that, to even talk about it. And when I first came back, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to get restitution. I'm going to fight." I was, lack of due process, defamation of character. It was a lot of things going on, and I was like, I'm gonna handle that, but I had to focus on getting my life together. I had to focus on building myself back up. So, and building a foundation. I couldn't focus on that one little year that I lost. But
But
something gonna happen.
what you did do is you turned that into power and
Absolutely.
that
Thank
power
you.
into intention. So you didn't, woe it's me, the
Right. I didn't
victim.
want that to be my
You
story. I'm not
left
a victim.
no,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
I
a
try
victor. Yes,
yes,
I'm not a
exactly.
victim.
Exactly. I tell my boys that all the time. I don't want to hear that you're a victim. Remember you're a victor
Absolutely.
in all
Absolutely.
situations. And remember the God that you do serve in everything. So when they come to me, they already have a plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all I always say. Like, I didn't want to make that my story, so I never lead with that. Like, I do have the story in a book that I'm writing about that. However, I want people to know me for my work, my etiquette books, my workshops, and things like that. And then they find that out on the back end, like, oh, this is where you came from. Now we can really relate. I grew up on the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
Nobody taught me. I learned everything the hard way. I went to 12 different elementary schools. We've been standing in free food lines and
Okay.
had that experience. So, but I made something out of my life when I moved to Atlanta, and also when I came back to Chicago.
I'm very, very happy to hear that. We are going to take a quick break. We do not want you to go anywhere. We're going to come back with more with Saint Larice. That's
Thank you.
always interesting to
Thank
hear
you.
that.
Thank you. My life went off.
Do you think of me when you hear love breakup songs? Do you think of me and wanna apologize for your wrongs? Do you think of me and realize after all this long? Do you think of me? Now it's gone, now it's gone. Do you think of me when you hear love breakup songs? Do you think of me and wanna apologize for your wrongs? Do you think of me and realize after all this long? Do you think of me? Now it's gone, now it's gone. Do you think of me since I'm so far? Would you even speak to me if I should call? Sometimes it's hard to sleep. Staring at the stars when I dream, I blink, and damn, there you are. Do you think of me and wish we could have worked things out one way or another? At least we should have stayed friends. Not so much lovers. Do you think of me? We love to hug and kiss. We love to rub that love is what I miss. Do you think of me or how I could be more than just another casualty you need? Do you think of me? Do you still see me as a queen out here doing my thing? Do you think of me and say it's an act of God's timing so I can pursue rhyming? I love you, but that love had me blinded. Face fine, but what hides behind it? Do you think of me and on them lonely nights I'm crying? Do you think of me without even trying? Do you think of me when you hear love breakup songs? Do you think of me and wanna apologize for your wrongs? Do you think of me and realize after all this long? Do you think of me? Now it's gone, now it's gone. Do you think of me when you hear love breakup songs? Do you think of me and wanna apologize for your wrongs? Do you think of me and realize after all this long? Do you think of me?
Hi there.
Now it's
Welcome
gone,
back
now
to the
it's gone.
Super Business Women Show. It's Shar Unlocked. We have Crystal in the building.
Hi, everybody. I made a post saying how I could hopefully get some etiquette in here about running late all the time. So,
I don't think it's going to help Crystal.
ooh, I can still use a little tip, though. little tips help. So I'm here for it today, guys.
Okay.
We need to wish our co-host Lexi a very happy, wonderful, amazing birthday today. Happy birthday, CEO Lexi.
Happy birthday.
We hope you are enjoying it to the fullest and walking in your divine purpose and power and being grateful for all things he's given you thus far, good and bad. We have with us Angelica.
Yes.
She is collaborating with St. Lawrence on a tea and etiquette workshop June 22nd. You want to tell us more about what your role will be in the workshop?
Yes, absolutely. I'm collaborating with St. Lawrence. I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting her on my birthday. Actually, I attended one of her etiquette and tea workshops, and she was so gracious to let me talk a little bit about my tea brand that I started in 2019. It's called Steepers Only. So we are a woman-owned, Black-owned tea company based in Chicago, and we are currently selling our products in Foxtrot stores and on Amazon. And I'm just so excited to partner with St. Lawrence. She's a wonderful teacher of etiquette. Growing up, my grandmother actually taught us charm in church. And so it's just wonderful to come full circle and work with St. Lawrence on this.
So I think etiquette is just an extension of charm. I went to charm school when I was young.
Yes.
Really?
That's how I learned how to walk in heels. I've been wearing
Okay.
heels since probably I was a toddler. Heels, 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 and certain fashion and jewelry and the
Yes.
whole tea. I had this wonderful tea set. I wish my mom invested in this beautiful tea set. I wish I knew the value then. I would have kept up with it. So with you, Angelica, do you actually sell tea, or you're selling china, or tell us a bit about Steepers?
Yeah, so I actually sell tea blends. It's packaged tea that you can heat up in hot water and drink and enjoy at home. A little bit about my background is I studied food science at University of Illinois, and I was just so inspired by everything that I was learning that I wanted to go and create a food business for myself one day. And then I also was inspired by a missionary trip that I took when I was 16 with my family, and we went to Kenya. And what I wasn't expecting is this huge tea culture that they have over there in Kenya. And we got to spend some time with the Maasai tribe. And one morning we were having chai, which is Kenyan black tea prepared with milk. And I asked the missionary pastor leading our group, I said, well, what time actually is tea time in Kenya? And he says, every time is tea time. And so from 16 till now, I took that quote with me, and it's on the back of every one of our packages.
Mm.
So how many different flavors, is that the appropriate term for tea?
Yeah, flavors or tea blends.
Tea blends.
We have about 6 different flavors. They range from a ginger and turmeric lemonade, which is something very different. It comes with packets of lemon juice inside with the
Wow.
That
tea.
sounds fabulous.
Yes, and we have a color changing chamomile lavender tea. So I found these flowers called butterfly pea flowers, and when you mix lemon juice into the tea, it changes from blue to purple. So that's-
Lemon juice.
Yes.
And they're called blue pea,
Butterfly pea flowers.
butterfly pea flowers.
Mhm.
And it changes on its own.
It does. As if you introduce lemon juice to your tea, it will change from blue to purple.
Is there any time it wouldn't change?
Yeah, if you don't have any lemon juice in there, it'll just be blue.
It'll just be blue. Okay.
And it's a wonderful blend for going to sleep or just relaxing.
And it's called blue pea?
The name of it,
Butterfly.
we call it chamomile lavender.
And it's delicious. I just posted a video on my story of her actually blending the colors, and it was changing colors.
Yes. I love it. Kids love it. It's wonderful for little kids, helping them to go to sleep around nap time. So
Oh my God.
Right. I need some for my grandson.
I have a nephew. He's 5. He's full of a lot of energy.
Mine too. Jesus.
my mom has been trying it out on my nieces and nephews, and I've got nothing but great reviews.
Is it instant? How long does it take to knock them out?
I will have to ask her about that, but I think it takes a few minutes.
A few minutes. Does it work on adults?
Yes. So my brother has tried it, and he said that it's worked on him, and I've had others try it, and it makes you either feel relaxed, or if you're already preparing for bed, it can help you with going to sleep.
And it's butterfly pea, like a flower that does. It's just natural.
The flower is the color changing portion, but what helps with
Oh, okay.
relaxation is chamomile and lavender together in the blend.
Oh, so I was thinking it was the flower that actually sent you.
Well, the flower, it's just to kind of set the mood. Like purple gets you in that relaxed mood. So
it makes you a little groovy. I
yeah,
like
you
to
can
be
say
relaxed.
that.
So I think when I think of purple, I think about sexy.
Well,
good
chamomile
for that.
always relax. It's a relaxing.
And so is lavender.
Yes.
Yeah.
So get you a nice lavender bath and a little bit of chamomile. What's the name of the tea?
It's called chamomile lavender.
The chamomile lavender tea, and you'll be feeling real groovy.
By Steepers.
By Steepers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'll tell the truth. When I first started teaching etiquette, I wanted to stay away from tea parties. And, because it's so much more than that. And I didn't want people to like dumb it down, but it's naturally who I am. I love to dress up. I love tea, and so I'm like, why am I trying to cut this part of me off? But I wanted to be serious and say, hey, you can actually transform your life with etiquette.
For sure. Now that you are 100%
Right.
correct. That's what a lot of people need is etiquette.
Absolutely.
And that's why on my post I said a lot of times we, as ladies, we think we know etiquette so well, but there's always room for growth.
Absolutely.
No, that's true.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's always room for growth. If you stop learning, you stop growing.
Absolutely.
And the tea is part of the culture also. So that should never be taken away, I think, because it is a part of the culture of etiquette, being ladylike and everything else. Like I normally have my nails done, and I was driving here and I was looking down at my hands. I said, oh no, because part of etiquette is to be a groomed woman.
Absolutely.
So you always have to groom yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With the tea, I originally came up with the idea. It's called the proper tea. I don't know where I got that from, but I'm like, come with the proper tea with St. Larice. It just rhymed. And every Friday I would drop like an etiquette tip, and I'll be like, thanks for joining me on the proper tea. And so I'm like, I'm gonna run with this. So I did my first etiquette and tea event. It was free, and I did it as a fundraiser so I can host more events. And it was a success. And I'm like, I'm going to do this all the time. And I'm like, people need to know what we have to offer because etiquette can be unaffordable, unaccessible. So I like to give them a taste. That's why I try to make it affordable the first time. It's you have to invest in yourself. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that element in to start the proper tea in.
And I think that's a part of our culture as sophisticated women of color to have a lot of etiquette about ourselves. Life has structured us to have etiquette when we're doing things. So I definitely think it's something that should be brought back into the culture.
Absolutely. I think that we naturally have it. We just got to be reminded.
I agree. I think with all that we have, as many hats as we wear, the burdens and the weights of things we're carrying.
We carry it well.
Yes, I think we kind of forget about the etiquette because we're always flying by life.
It's a fast-paced world. So, and that's when you just take the time with some tea. Take some time out of your day.
The
take
proper
a deep
tea.
breath. Right. Take a deep breath. Just involve that in your ritual about being mindful. Taking those mindful minutes out of your day.
So I have a very important question.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a tea person. So can I do the same thing with coffee? She said, oh.
Absolutely. Or your own ritual, you can have your own ritual. I actually shared a ritual that I do. Like in the morning I'll do green tea because it energizes you, and then in the afternoon I'll do white tea because it's high in antioxidants, and then at night right before I go to sleep I'll do chamomile tea before I go to sleep.
So
So
you're just teeing it up all day.
yeah, I mean it's healthy, it's not too much.
I
So
personally don't like. This is kind of, well, I'm not going to make an ignorant statement, but I don't particularly care for people who don't express a sense of etiquette. I really don't. Like if you are not using proper English to a great extent, if you're
Mhm.
not saying please and thank you, if you are not letting people know that you have gratitude about yourself,
Mhm.
integrity, which is all a part of etiquette. If you're not
Absolutely.
exuding that, I kind of shy away from it.
Absolutely. I was just telling Shar earlier that people don't remember what you said or did. They remember how you made them feel. That was a quote from Maya Angelou. I always say that because it's like that feeling. That's what people remember. Even like the experience. If you come and you smell bad, they're gonna remember that over everything.
Yes.
You could have gave them $1 million. They're gonna remember that you smell bad.
Right.
So that's important. Yeah, to
Yeah,
just be
that would stick
mindful.
out.
It's and the sad part is it's the worst things that stick out too,
True.
and that's what they remember. Yeah,
Mean girl
unfortunate.
spirits. We have some mean girls who some women, and we call it mean girl spirit.
I'm well familiar.
They need not practice etiquette when you're being a mean girl. They don't go hand in hand. Your mean girl, your meanness trumps your etiquette. Nobody remembers, thinks about it, or sees it. They just see mean girl energy, which screams insecurities, by the way, ladies.
That's true. I was in a nail shop one day and I saw this lady. She was looking so beautiful, outfit head to toe. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to tell her how beautiful she looked. And she was being so rude to the people. Like she was being so mean to them. And I was like, ugh, no, I'm still away. Like that just took away from her whole aura. Nowadays they give aura points.
So what's an
That's a
aura point?
Really,
I,
I've
I
never
just
heard of that.
heard kids saying that, like, oh, you get aura points for. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I've heard it. They'll say like you're plus 10,000 or something.
Yeah, like
Oh, I've never heard
your
that.
Me
vibe.
either.
It's new. I just so guys, let me know if I'm saying using this correctly. But yeah, they talk about aura points and how your aura goes up. Like for instance, I showed up at my boyfriend's baseball game and his players was like, "Oh, you get 1,000 aura points for that,"
Okay.
But just standing out, standing
Okay.
out in the right way for the right
I
reasons.
have to ask my son aura points.
Yeah, or
That's what
aura. Yeah.
aura
Yes.
points. That's what
Yes.
I'm looking
And
for.
most men like classy women that carry themselves with etiquette. I was telling a friend of mine who, only a friend, and he's a very polished gentleman, and he said to me that class always outfoxes ratchetness. And I
Absolutely.
told him my response to something, and he was like, Crystal, absolutely not. Like that wasn't like it wasn't ladylike. And when he said that to me,
Mhm.
that always stuck with me, because when you sit down and you speak with most men, most of the time, I would say probably 10 times out of 10, even when I talk to my boys, it always goes back to carrying yourself with a certain level of class. And I think that young women need to understand that you don't have to, do the whole ugly, mean girl, distasteful behavior to grasp attention.
Mhm.
The silence, the ladylike behavior, the crossing your legs, those are the things that make men think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the feminine energy we were talking about,
Mhm.
St. Louise.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I was at the airport. People can spend, I'm going to tell a story, but people can spend thousands on their hair, thousands on their makeup, thousands on their outfit, and then still just come off like a nasty person, and that can just ruin everything. Yeah. So we have to be mindful of that.
Mean girl energy. But to your point, I think the loudest person in the room, or the person that has a microphone, has been the one that dictates what happens. So the ratchetness with the reality shows, the lack of class,
Ooh.
the lack of etiquette, they're the ones with the mics right now.
That's true.
And they think that their behavior has attained them a certain kind of success. So I think that's where you have everyone else following
Mhm.
and disregarding class and disregarding etiquette.
Mhm.
I can't follow getting my fighting on TV though. You know, those people on the baddies, you know, they're
No, I mean, just as simple as all the housewife shows.
that's
They're
true.
very
Even
catty.
those, you're right.
They have
That's
mean
true.
girl
You're right. That
spirit.
is very
Mhm.
true.
They're gossipy.
That's true.
They're
Mhm.
disrespectful. They come off as entitled. No matter how we like them,
Absolutely.
that's who has the microphone right now.
Absolutely. I call this the crash out culture, because everybody, they see their favorite celebrities crashing out, so they think it's okay. But when it comes to like the reality shows, people always say, "Oh, people with money has etiquette." No, I said, look, and I use housewives as I said, they have money. Do they have etiquette? No. It's a behavior,
It's a behavior.
and like I said, a lot of people will have the technical skills, but as far as the people skills, that's where a lot of people lack. And they'll be in positions, of leadership and on TV and influencing the culture. But that's all for entertainment. But I understand, kids they think that's the standard, right? I think that's another reason why I wanted to become an etiquette consultant, because I didn't have a lot of examples. So now I get to go and, work at schools and you go to all girl programs and speak where they can see, oh, we can do other things.
Let's go back to the Felicia Rashard days.
Right,
And the
right.
Huxtables
I
and the
love her.
Cosby Show.
Well,
Absolutely.
Felicia made a statement on social media. I don't know if it was put on social media. I don't know if she made it on social media. But her statement was, we don't have to be bare bones naked, essentially not, quote, in order to be physically attractive or sexy. And again, the mean girls came in the comments, the young girls, and was dragging her, talking about how go somewhere and sit down, old mama.
We know that, right?
Oh my God. They were talking so reckless about the lady. And then a few weeks later, I saw her in some clothing, just a pair of shorts that were appropriately, of an appropriate length, and some heels. And I, I, I stopped. I was like, she's bodied up, classed up,
Yes.
and has the money. But those girls that were doing the dragging on social media for, 100,000 likes, they're the ones with the mic right
We need
now.
to take those mics from them, Rashard. We got to get the mics from them.
Because they can have the mics and wallow in the misery that they live in. How about we rise above?
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. What's that scripture? Don't follow the things. What? Keep your eyes on the things above. What? How it go? Keep your eyes on the things above. Basically, don't go with the crowd.
Never go.
If
with
you
the
guys
crowd.
know that scripture, let me know.
St. Laurie said, let me know.
Yes. But yeah, we have to be the standard, and the definition of ratchet is like what I gotta look it up, but it's the opposite of excellence. It's the opposite of excellence. That's what I know.
The fact that someone wants to be referenced, referred to, thought of, and their legacy built on ratchetness should be a concern for us. Ratchet. I'm offended that somebody even put my name in a sentence with ratchet. Ratchet. You want to be synonymous with ratchetness. Just think about who we're talking about.
Absolutely. And then like that comes with identity too. Like you got to know whose you are.
Yes.
And like I said, in the morning when I wake up, I remind myself, you are a daughter of the King of Kings. You have
Yes.
grace. And I have to carry myself that way. But if you don't remind yourself of who you are, you're just going to go out in the world and, grasp onto anything that influences you. And
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
a great point.
It's an excellent point. But why would you even want to be referenced as ratchet
Right,
to any
right.
point?
I hate when people say certain music is Black culture, and culture is the way that you were raised. So just because she's acting that way, she was raised that way. I wasn't raised that way. So I think there's we need to break that down a little bit more. Like I said, it's how you were raised. And I can relate to some stuff.
And even if you think about this, we all evolve.
Absolutely.
So if you were
Very true.
raised a certain way, you evolve. You don't
stay the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't come as you are. Don't stay as you are.
Why would you? That means you're not evolving.
And you say you're not growing. I always say if you're not growing, you're dead. Anything that doesn't grow is dead. Right?
I remember I was probably 6, 7. My mother told me, listen, she had me reading the paper. We used to read the paper together while she drank coffee, getting ready for work in the morning. And my father would say, you letting her read the paper? And she's like, I'm teaching her how to read. And she's learning at something every day. You're supposed to learn something every day you're on this earth. Be intentional about learning something new, because if you don't learn anything, you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
She thought of it as a way of watering yourself every day.
Oh.
So I read something, whether it's the Bible, whether I learn something even today, something new every day.
Absolutely. Even in here is one a day.
No. You're right.
It's one a day, one lesson a day, one something new every day.
Where can I get your book?
Everything is on my website, www.saintlarise.com.
And Saint is spelled SAINT.
Yep. Larise is LUREISE. Or if you go to my Instagram, all the links are there. It's really easy to find. I try to make it as easy as possible.
And look at you, St. Larise. I mean, you have that beautiful book going on about yourself. You know, those are forms of evolving. You know, we need to always make sure that we're representing that and making that knowledgeable to others, because you really, it's all in your mind.
Absolutely.
You can create whatever you want to create for yourself. You have to believe in yourself.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And understanding, this is what I'm trying to, people think that I am insensitive. I'm not. I tell my kids that you are victors, not victims.
Absolutely.
Leave the victim mentality. You can't come to me with that.
Absolutely.
We can't even come to God with the victim mentality, because he says come in spirit and come in truth.
Yes.
So you can't come to him with the victim mentality. You have to tell him what you did wrong and be honest about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Taking accountability.
That's what we have here in society now.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to be your role, Angelica, in the workshop?
Yeah, so I will be assisting St. Larise and serving tea. So I believe when we first get started, that will be the time to come in, choose your tea blend, and mingle with the others that are there, get to introduce yourself and get to meet someone new. And then we'll get into the workshop.
What's the age category you've been seeing with this?
I like to say adults, teenagers and adults, like 15, because sometimes parents bring their teenage daughters. I had a parent bring a 12-year-old. That was okay, because she still learned, and they had fun too. And I had someone bring a little baby, but I probably don't want the little babies there.
I think it's great to have the 15 and up.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, if you don't have that foundation early on, you may not ever get it. So I love what you're doing in incorporating the younger girls too into the workshops.
They have fun too.
Are those your cards over there?
Yes. So this is one of the things that we do. I'll give you some.
Let's all take one and talk about it.
I'll give you a handful. So this is called.
I'm sorry now. Saint Laurent.
St. Larise.
St. Larise.
She's calling you the designer, baby.
I know, right? I mean, I'm still a designer.
Now, are these your cards in particular that you designed yourself?
Yes.
Now, see, that's
I
what
love
I'm talking
designing.
about. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Yes. So one of the cards that I have says etiquette for social gatherings, true or false? You should always bring a gift when invited to someone's home. I am going to say emphatically true.
Absolutely. That is correct. You get 10 points.
Hey.
If you get it wrong or don't answer the question, you got to forfeit to the next team.
What is your question? What is yours say, Angelica?
Mine is conversation etiquette. In 60 seconds, demonstrate active listening without interrupting.
I need to practice that. That's one of my weaknesses.
So one of the tips I like to give with conversation etiquette is if you're speaking over 20 seconds, you're probably talking too much. So pay attention to when you're having a conversation with someone to stop at 20 seconds.
Even with your mate?
It's still a give and take. So unless you're telling a story, and you prime them, we understand how conversations flow. But if it's a back and forth, yes, pause.
Now, my oldest son, oh my God, he can tell a story. He reels me in. He finesses me with his stories. The stories go on, but you're on the edge of your seat. And he's
Mhm.
talking about things and he's funny and witty. Yeah.
That's also with like telephone etiquette. You call somebody, you let them know, like, hey, are you busy? And say, I need to talk to you for about 3 minutes, or I need 10 minutes before you just jump right into a conversation.
But if you calling them, isn't it already insinuated that you want to talk?
Yeah. I mean, if you're calling them, just ask them if they're busy, because they might
Right.
not be available.
I agree. I've done
They
that
might not be
before.
available.
Well, I
Just
think they'll
jumping
tell
into
me.
the conversation.
I think if she calls me and she says Shara, and I'll say, hey, Crystal, can I call you back in 10 minutes? I'm at work.
That's proper etiquette.
But yeah, I don't think you have to prime me to call.
But it's also I've noticed
people.
myself. I'll say
That's more work. You guys know you're adding more work to life, right?
I'll get into a conversation. I say, oh, I'm sorry.
You always say that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry. You got a minute? Because people are busy, and a lot of times I'm just trying to hurry up and get what I got out, and I'll take my time.
And I want them to sit down and listen too.
Right.
Don't be moving around while I'm talking.
So, do you have these cards with you today?
I'm sorry?
Do you have these cards with you today?
Oh, no, not for sale. Well, they're on my website. I have a link there.
Oh, because
this is my only deck.
We buy these. We buy stuff.
And sure, I didn't do my card, guys. I didn't do my.
No, we're gonna do yours.
I'm like, I'm gonna get these tears going. I want to do my card.
It would be not proper etiquette for me not to let you
go,
have your
Shara.
turn.
Right, that's right. I know that's right. Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I gotta put mine up to my eyes because I don't have my glasses on. So it says, show how to accept a compliment with grace and poise. And I honestly, a lot of times I notice when people compliment me, I'm like, oh, whatever, it's no, and that's really, you're supposed to take the compliment with grace and poise. So I guess if someone says I love your hair, you instead of saying, oh, thanks, it's not a big deal, just say, well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Hair is it's probably a little bit too much to say. Hair is one of a woman's greatest qualities. That's going a little too far, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
Generally, what I would say in all things, thank you. That was awfully kind of you to say. I appreciate that.
That's poise.
Yep. And I added that because a lot of people deflect the compliments. They're like, no, I found this in my sister's dirty diaper
Downplay
bag.
it.
Like, you don't have to tell everybody you got it for $2 or you just threw it together. You don't have to say that. Just accept it.
We were growing up. I think we were over-taught humility. So I think I too am guilty of that. If somebody say, oh, that's cute. And I'll be like, oh, thank you, kind of dismissive because it makes me uncomfortable.
I got a serious question. And this is really serious. Like, I have a problem with being late. I really do. And I don't think it's cute. Like, I used to be like, well,
the party don't start until I get there.
Right, yeah. Or I'm walking in and she's like, I listen to Kanye, whatever that was. He said, when I'm late, be glad I'm here. And that's a sense of arrogance.
I have that too. Oh.
What can because I have so much going on, and we all do. So I can't continue to use that as my way out. What would you suggest for that?
I would say look at the sort. Do you know exactly why you're always late? Like, are you still getting dressed right before you leave?
Honestly, a lot of it is probably me just getting my head clear to go outside and deal with the world because it's such a challenging place.
And the traffic.
And the traffic and everything else. But that's not the key to it, because getting there on time is beating the traffic. But a lot of it is me just looking at things around the house before I go, trying to make sure everybody's okay before I leave out.
What I do is because my tray is super heavy. Before I get out of the bed, while I'm laying there in a semi-conscious, I start to talk to God. I start to thank him for how the day is going to be. I do a quick reflection on yesterday, like, oh my God, I'm really thankful. I actually say a prayer and then I'm up. It makes it easier than me getting up, looking around, and taking it all in because I'll stop and get distracted. Or I used to stop and get distracted. So now I'm laying there just a few minutes. It seems like forever, but if you look at the clock, it's 2, 3 minutes.
That's true.
Just a few minutes of just laying there in gratitude, having a talk with him. And a lot of things I don't know, it's nonverbal. I'm talking to him in the spirit or in my mind.
I love that about you, Shar, because just about everything that you speak of, honestly, it really does go back to talking about it with God. And in the end, that is one of the most important things that we could do as humans is to take up any flaws, any issues that you have with God.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Like she said, it was one time I was gonna be late and I felt it was crazy. I felt like the spirit tapped me and was like, get up. But besides I start getting ready like first thing in the morning because I have a habit of I have a habit of grabbing my phone in the morning and my phone just died. I have a habit of grabbing my phone in the morning. So I sleep with my phone in the living room. So when I get up, I got to stay up now, when the alarm goes off. But also trick myself. I can say that it's hard. Everybody's different, but I trick myself into I have to be there at an earlier time. So even though I knew I had to be here at a certain time, I tricked myself as that I had to be here an hour earlier. So that way I was already in the area, but I live like 5 minutes away.
Oh, well, that's easy.
But
Right.
but even if I'm already in the area, I'm looking forward to like let me go get some gum, let me go get my favorite drink really quick before I go to get myself in the mindset. But the thing is just leaving the house, get out the house, and then everything else.
What I found myself when I have a lot to do, tomorrow is going to be one of those days. I prime people to say, hey, listen, I have this going on. I probably am only going to be able to stay a little bit. My girlfriend, who means the world to me, it's her daughter's graduation party, but it's also my partner's sister's homegoing service. So, how do you split yourself into two? And then I have work. So, full disclosure, I said, listen, I'm coming no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get a gift too. So, I'm coming.
I actually have to do that today. And the main thing is just communication. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
that's perfect. I welcome that. Yes.
That's bad etiquette too to cut people off.
It is. It is. You're right. It is.
But today I have to be at a birthday, a girls' night in, and it's just really just communicating like, hey, I'm gonna be running behind, and try to give them a time frame of when you're gonna come, especially if it's family. Now, if it's business, you got to be on point with that.
Yes.
But usually, yeah, call them ahead of time. Communication is everything, and then they have no choice but to accept it. If you can't.
One of my girlfriends told me, and this is what made me kind of get it together. She said, Shar, what you're telling the universe is, I really don't have respect for whatever it is I'm doing. So, what do you expect to be reciprocated to you? You're saying, hey, I want this, I respect this, I love this. This is a form of my income,
Mm-hmm.
but you're late. So of course that's going to be a struggle area for you
Right.
because those are the signals that you're sending up.
Right.
So I thought, don't play about money. So I'm going to be on time
Right.
when it comes to my business.
Absolutely. And then like
Other
Yes.
things is another
It's
story.
a form of disrespect, to a
Mhm.
great extent. I apologize to the team,
Aw.
for me being, not prompt with things of that nature. And
Because you missed it. You missed some good info.
and no. You're 100%
I just
right. You
kidding.
miss a lot. You miss money. It's just not. It's just God. I'm gonna go to God about it.
Yeah. Well, as long as you communicate it, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Sometimes people are running late, don't say nothing, be like, oh, they'll see me when they see me. And you have no idea if they're coming or not. Or say if you're going to a social gathering, I think that's one of the cards here. If you're going to a social gathering, what's the appropriate time to be late? Past 30 minutes. Well, actually, the answer is 15 minutes is okay. Being right on time can, throw people off a little bit.
Don't they say apologies with no change behavior
It's
is
disrespect, the
Yeah.
ultimate.
Yeah, you got to change it.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, you gotta show effort. You gotta
Right.
show effort.
When
I
my
need a belt for
When-
Yes,
this.
it's
when
challenging, but
when my son was in college, his coach, when he played D1 football. I remember him always saying this: to be on time is to be late. To be late, no, to be
be
late
early.
is to be forgotten. To be on time is to be late. To be early is to be on time, or something like that.
Mhm.
He lived by that, and he needed to, because that is the most disrespectful human of time.
Oh. You know, our elders are something else. You know, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I actually did a class with elder women, like I think it was last year or the year before last.
Some ladies.
I know, but it was a lot of fun still. But I actually went out to dinner with one of my elders, my boyfriend's grandmother,
Mhm.
and she, I was like, we was talking about napkin etiquette, and I was like, no, you have to put it on your lap, and she's like, I do it like this, and she I almost fell out my chair. She wrapped it around her neck like the baby bib, like how they used to do in the 80s. I was like, if you don't get that napkin from around your neck, you embarrassing
Did
me.
she leave a napkin?
She put it on her lap, but it was a struggle because she was like, well, this is how I do it. And I'm just like, we
You're
we
like,
not
no,
doing
no,
it
no,
like
no,
that.
no.
Sitting up there looking like Baby Huey.
Yes, but you know, you gotta let them have it. You know, you gotta be like, it's
Listen,
okay.
a
We
women-
have to listen though.
For
Yeah.
women of a certain age, I let them have it.
Yeah.
I'm not getting ready to
I'm gonna say
engage.
it though, but
No, sometimes
you
I'm not
have
even going to say it, because you got to have distance with them. Those people play no games with us.
I almost fell out my chair. I was like, if you don't get that napkin from around your neck.
Yeah, it takes away from everything. It's not pretty when you do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I have another dining etiquette
Okay.
question with the card. What's the proper way to signal you're finished with your meal? A, place your utensils side by side at 4 o'clock on your plate. Cross your utensils over your plate, or leave your napkin on your plate.
Ooh, those are
Now, this
good.
is a trick question because when I post my viral etiquette video, it has over a million views. People were fighting over this, and it's changed over time. And it's one thing people need to understand, that etiquette evolves over time. So there's a couple ways. Two of those ways there are the old way to do it, and one of them is an actual proper way.
Can I say the way that I learned?
Okay.
It would be to cross your utensils over each other. So I think that was the second
That's
one.
the way I learned.
That's the what
Mhm.
that's what I said when you
That's
said
the way I
that.
learned. Am I dating myself?
You say, are you dating yourself?
Am I dating myself by I learned to cross my utensils?
So that's the old way.
I'm dating myself.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the old way. Yeah.
So we put the napkin on the plate?
No,
Oh, jeepers.
that's no.
Creepers.
So you turn your utensils 4 o'clock. It's a little,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So pretend like those are utensils. Show us, what are you talking about?
Or a pen. Maybe that pen.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe a card. Will that work?
maybe 2 cards.
Okay.
Okay.
Fork, knife, like that.
Oh.
So you just turn them like that.
Yep.
4 o'clock on the plate.
Yep.
On the plate or on the side of the plate?
On the plate with the tin. If you're in America, the tins are up. If you're out of America, they're down. They're facing down. Up in America, down around
Okay.
the
Got
town.
it.
Okay. That's good. I'm gonna do that. Next time I go to one of my 5-star restaurants, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, you have to look at the video to show you all the different
I
ways to
will.
signal.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
How much are the cards?
33. Everything on my website is $33.
Why 33? I know it's a significance with that.
That's Jesus. That's my Jesus year. And then, I don't know, the number just resonates. I don't know.
That's your number.
It's just
with it.
that's just always been my number. So yeah,
33. Okay.
I like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Everything is 33.
So if they were cheaper, I was going to buy everybody. So
Oh, sorry. Well, no, actually, right now they're $18.99 on the site right
no,
now.
I'm teasing.
Okay.
So I'm going to go on there and get us some cards. We're going to have fun with this.
Yeah, that
Okay.
I like that. I like those a lot.
Thank
I'm
you.
now once again, I feel like I really missed out on some
That's
stuff because
okay.
it's okay, but it's kind of not okay because I can tell that you're super duper dope,
Oh, thank
and
you.
I can tell that you know a lot because you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try,
And she's transparent
Thank you.
and an overcomer.
Thank you. Thank you.
So where is this event going to be on the 22nd?
I'm hosting it at a venue on the south side. My phone just died.
So we're Southsiders.
Um,
Angelica, do you know where it's being hosted?
the actual address.
Or at least maybe we know the name of the
26
venue.
I know it's on 79th.
Not
Tell
the
us-
bad side of it. Not the ghetto part of 79.
Well, they need to help you.
Oh my God, you're gonna have these people
I'm
fighting. us.
sorry. I'm sorry.
She said it. Normally,
Look,
I'm,
I lived on 79th and Ingleside, so
So
I
I'm
know
not-
the bad part now. Okay.
I'm not gonna get hate mail. It's gonna be St. Louis. So I think she told me the
I'll put it on my
3400 block. Is it the
itinerary.
3400 block? Does
Let
that
me
sound
see.
familiar? 3800 block?
We're about to see. Hold on.
I bet you it's the 34 or 3800 because I remember you saying I remember you saying that. And you was like, it's not the bad side of 79th. And I was like, ooh.
It's the itinerary. Oh, 1 second.
And what time does it start?
But the name of the organization is called Rhonda's Angel Network. It's from 3 to 7.
3 to
3 to
7.
6. I'm sorry. 3 to
The
6.
22nd, is that a Saturday?
Sunday. So right after church, you come have your tea. You're going to be already dressed.
Maybe we should go.
I would like to go.
Oh, here's the address. The address is 2637
That's Western.
West
said that.
79th Street. Yep.
I said that. When we were talking, I said it's right off of Western. I don't
Yeah,
know why I
not
don't
too
remember.
far
There's
from St.
free
Rita.
street parking. You just walk right in. Someone will greet you to have a seat with some tea. Now it is a class, but of course we're going to start off mingling. We will have a little bit of entertainment in our intermission, and then we'll hop right into fine dining and table manners. But I make it fun, so you guys are putting you guys to work. It's going to be.
So how much is the class?
Right now we have early bird tickets going for $25. The price is going to go up Monday. We're considering maybe having a caterer this time. Before, we normally have finger sandwiches and just tea party food, but because this is a dining class, I want people to practice using their fork and knife
for
on
sure.
real food. So it might go up $12 more for the catering service. So
I'm trying to figure out how to finesse the boys to going because they can always benefit from it.
yeah.
But as soon as I say tea, they're going to be thinking I'm
Oh
the
yeah,
mom that's
they're not
lost their
gonna want to
mind.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the young ladies that might be there for them to see? Guys always love to go with the gals.
I can throw in a chivalry lesson too, like how to properly pull the seat out.
And then he's going to say, the oldest, the one with the slick mouth is going to say, well, you failed me. You didn't teach me that.
Oh.
Didn't your mama send you to charm school?
Mhm.
He's going to say that.
And then you could say, well, it's a new way of doing things.
Yep, things
now.
have evolved now.
Things have evolved.
Yes.
Let's try it. I can get my middle son to do anything.
my when I work with the blessed child, they have a lot of teen boys in the class.
Oh, my boys aren't teen. They're young adults.
Okay.
I have a teen.
Well, they're
teen.
like
They're-
22. Some of them
Yeah.
are like 22, 23. And they also get paid to come to class.
Oh, I'm not paying a service.
But they do enjoy it. It was a very fulfilling when one kid, he came in, you could tell he was smoking, and he had dreads covering his face, and he didn't want to talk to anybody, and he was just like hiding in the back of the class. But by the end of the class, his hair was back, he was talking, he was being polite and kind, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I wanted to cry because I see him transform. I actually made him get up and do it's a game, it's a red flag game, and every time you say or they put up a red flag.
There you
Oh,
go, right
wow.
there. They put up a red flag in here
Yeah.
too.
We have them up there too.
Oh, really?
No, right. Yeah.
I didn't see that. I love that.
I have a question. Do you think that
sorry.
taking care of your physique is part of etiquette too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is, your appearance is that's the first thing people see. And when I said, if you remember somebody, if they smell bad, that's what you're going to remember. If they gave you a great experience, you're still going to remember that.
Well, I'm speaking more in terms of
Hygiene.
like, well, not hygiene. I'm speaking in terms of like exercise. Would that be considered
Taking care of your health.
right?
Also, yes, because it's it's all about being the best version of you.
Correct.
Not being someone else. So when you're investing in yourself, you are it's the output and how you want to be remembered and how you're being seen in the world. So
Right.
Yeah, that does. Taking care of yourself does
Yeah, I think so.
matter.
That's
Yeah, I would think
me
so.
too. Yeah, I think it can be a little challenging though for some people because a lot of times people want to use the excuse that I love myself the way I am and I don't
Yes.
need to do this
If
and I don't
I
need to
have
do
had
that.
a penny for every time, it's mostly women that say that. He
Yeah.
has to take me the way I am.
Mhm.
Nobody
why?
has to, right?
But why?
And then if you look at all of the entertainers and that are started off being heavy, the majority of them do get in the gym and they end up losing weight. Lizzo, the girl from whatever,
Oprah.
Precious, Oprah, all of them do. So it's
So
very
I don't
important.
even think it's about the weight because that's a whole separate subject. Just
Show that you care about yourself.
yes, that you're trying. You don't have to be. Everybody's not an 8.
Right.
That's true. I'm not.
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually just started in the gym. I'm new to the gym culture, and I did a whole gym etiquette video like last week
Okay.
because since I was new there. It's a new experience. You can feel nervous when you go in. You don't know what to do. Or I wanted to look like I know something, but then I also was communicating with people to
So
ask for help.
also at my gym, it's a couple restaurants. You can shop. I have a great time at the gym. I stop and talk to everybody, which makes other people that are with me mad.
Mm-hmm. That's a good place. Most girls will think you're going there to meet guys, but I find some really successful women who can put you in positions at the gym.
What gym are you? What do you
I'm-
want to say?
Well, I don't know.
Is
what to
it a
say.
chain of them?
Yes, it is.
Oh, so I go to one of these.
I go to LA Fitness.
Oh, you should come to ours.
But yeah, I had to learn the gym etiquette, and even though people say, "Oh, you what stomach?" You know what? I still need to be in shape.
You
still
really
need
do.
To,
You need to take care of your heart. You need to
right?
take yeah. You
Gets the blood flowing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Dopamine moving.
Right. Exactly.
It's always nice to have a buddy. So please let me know next time you go.
Yeah, girl.
I'm trying to get back into the gym.
Do you go to the ones on the south side or is there?
I go to one in the west suburbs.
Okay.
Near here.
Okay.
Because this is my area.
This is your job.
Yeah, this is my area right here. 'Cause I went to school not too far, Proviso West.
Okay.
Not too far from
So
here.
I think Trevor, one of the franchisee owners of Chicago Chicken Shack, I think he went to Proviso, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. Well, shout out to Proviso West. Woo, woo. But yeah, we've been learning a lot about etiquette today. I can go on and on.
I love etiquette. Let's see one more question.
Okay.
And then who wants to do the question? Because I did the last one.
I'll do it. Let's see here. Let's see here for you guys. Here's a question. All right. Once again, here we go. Is this not etiquette? Not having to put having to put it up to my eye.
I got some other questions too. But
Okay.
I know, you know what? I just made another set and the words are going to be bigger.
Okay. All
So,
right.
yep, I've
Well,
been taking critiques.
I don't like the bigger words. We're gonna read these.
Okay. All right. So this says here, which here you got to read it to me.
All right. Dress code etiquette. Which of these is appropriate for business casual attire? A, jeans and a t-shirt. B, blazer, blouse, and tailored pants. Or C, a cocktail dress.
B.
Oh, B. Yeah, that's easy.
I'm going with B.
Absolutely.
And you know what
Ding,
I'm
ding, ding.
learning? In my profession, they said business casual is khaki pants. I don't think so. I think that's but they
it's
utilize
like
that as,
casual.
That's true. They do.
Yep.
didn't you say you had one?
Yeah, I can ask one. Here. Let me see. I asked one online. Like, I like to really get engagement. So a question I want to ask is, if you're out and about and you see your spouse's boyfriend or girlfriend out and they're flirting with everyone, what do you do? Do you go up and confront them right then and there?
So at my age, it's not for me. You become mature. It's not for me. And this has happened. I've seen friends of mine, significant others, with other people. Who am I to say what's going on in that relationship or that marriage? I've learned to mind my business.
Absolutely.
However, I do say this. Hey, how are you? I make my presence known. And I've learned that normally they tell because they tell on themselves. I always say, I'm going to have a conversation with her.
Mhm.
And they're, while I'm hugging them and
Mhm.
I even greet the
Show you
lady.
something else. You say it in their ear.
Oh yeah, I'm hugging you and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I got to have a conversation with her. And won't be mean to the other person. I'll say, hello, how are you?
That's why I love this game, because you get to see everybody's different perspective on how they would handle different situations. Because I love that. Now I can use that in my class. No,
It normally,
but constantly learning.
99% of the time, it forces them to have a conversation and they bring it back to me. It doesn't put me in anybody else's business. But I do tell them, like, I'm going to have a conversation with her.
Absolutely.
I'm hugging, I'm all nice. And then they have to say it.
So are you saying that, Shar, so that they get scared and they tell them?
I don't want to be
really have the conversation.
So we're on live. So if it's my sister or somebody I deeply care about that I respect and I know that they're going to take what I say with not a hating vibe or being intentionally messy, I'm going to say something. If it's a distant friend, I'm going to have that conversation with him. And if she says something to me, I'm going to tell exactly what happened. It always comes back. They always say, well, such and such says they saw you. And I'll say, yeah. Oh, where'd you see him at?
Yep. And then I was on you because you didn't say anything.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. And I'll tell them, I told him that I was going to have a conversation with you.
And I gave him the chance to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I did. So it doesn't put me in the place of being messy.
Right.
Because a lot of times they get mad at the friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Years ago, we were all married and one of the married couples was out and one of our friends went back and said something. Caused a huge stir, but he was with his daughter. Mm-hmm. She was a young adult. Mm-hmm. So you always got to be careful about being messy. Mm-hmm. But when you introduce yourself, they will tell you if you're across the room taking pictures, sending them out, putting them on social media like they do, the ignorance of that, you won't get any information. But when you walk up and you introduce, normally they'll say, hey, Shar, this is my daughter, such and such. This is my niece, such and such.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Because you could.
That's why I'm not mean to the other person because
you
I don't know
who they are.
Who they
right.
are.
A lot of times they're innocent. And even if they're not innocent, that is still on that other person. They're the person that's doing whatever outside of the marriage relationship.
And I don't know the structure of their relationship.
You're
or
right. It's a lot of open relationships out here.
It doesn't even have to be open. It could be where they're going through a tumultuous time or they are figuring it out and they haven't shared their business with everyone.
True.
So I don't want to be the one that run back and bring the bone. I leave it on him. But if I come up and I say, hey, how's it going? Mm-hmm. Oh, I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays. We hug and you don't introduce this person as anybody other than, hey, this is, Debbie. And I'm like, oh, hi, Debbie. Nice to meet you. I don't go into any of that because he's not my man.
Correct.
But when, I'm leaving, I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to have a conversation with her.
I love that.
I love that too. I love that too.
Because it's like, listen, I'm like the mob right now.
Right.
I have to have a conversation.
I'm going to have a conversation with her. But they always tell on themselves. They always try to salvage.
Mm-hmm. They do.
They do. Mm-hmm. They want to get in front of it. Mm-hmm. So they'll say, oh, she saw me with such and such. Oh, she said her name was Debbie. She was 5'5". I give the whole rundown. I'm going to tell.
Right.
If you ask me, but I don't want to be the one to bring the volunteer.
Yeah. Yes. And I think the wrong way to go about it is to just cause a big scene. That's all.
Why would you? You don't know the intimate workings of someone's relationship.
Absolutely. I love that. You said mind your own business, but let them know.
Yeah. A good thinking person, knows to. That's why, using your brain is very important.
Absolutely.
It's very important in everything that you do because you shouldn't just jump in somebody else's business because you don't know the dynamics. Absolutely. As Shar said, you don't know what's going on. And a lot of people have a lot of understandings out here in their relationship.
Understandings or For instance, I did not know that one of my really good friends was contemplating divorce. She wasn't ready to share that yet. The kids told my kids. That's how I found out about it. So you never know what's going on. So you need to be very respectful, even when you're tricking. You're telling on someone.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us how they can get tickets to your event?
You can go straight to my website, www.saintlaurice.com. You'll see right at the top it says etiquette and tea. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a little bubble that says etiquette and tea. If you click that, the link is right there directly. You can comment under any of my social media reels or posts, comment, give me the tea, and I will send you the link directly. But my name is spelled Lureise, and it's Saint Laurice. You got to spell out the saint too.
She's a saint.
Oh, thank you. I never, nobody's perfect, but I like that name because it keeps me on point. And sometimes we have our own journeys, and I have to remember, even with teaching, not to just tell people what they're doing wrong, but show them the right way to do it.
And I want to say this in the interest of etiquette. I always tell my boys that when you're going to tell someone that they're wrong, or you're going to have a deep conversation about something you think someone is doing wrong, you always sit them down and explain and lift them up first. You tell them all the wonderful things that you like about them, or a synopsis of what you like. I really like when you do this, this, and this, and you're phenomenal in this way. And oh my God, I absolutely love when you do this. But I need you to work on this a little better. So you have to lift people up. You can't just gut punch them with telling them the things they do wrong. And St. Laurice is actually, I love it because it not only keeps you on point. When people call you St. Laurice, words have power and intentions. So you're walking in that. That's your name. We're speaking it. That's a prayer daily over you. So I like that.
Thank you so much.
Angelica, tell us where they can find your wonderful tea blends.
Yes, you can find Steepers Only Tea at steepersonly.com. And then you can find us on social media at Steepers Only on Instagram and TikTok.
Crystal, why don't you tell the wonderful people how they can find the Savvy Investor?
Hi, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to speak in this microphone. Hi, everyone. If you are looking for properties, investment properties, places to live, whatever you need, leasing an apartment, you can find me at info@powercircleinvestments.com. And you can also find me on all social media platforms. You can inbox me, and I'm just here to serve.
This has been an amazing show. I've learned so much. I love to learn. I ingest so much, and I get to learn the stories, and I'm inspired by the stories when you guys share with me what you've overcame. I am Sharon Locked with Love, Loans, and Lifestyle. Thank you for joining the Super Business Women Show. I can be reached on all social media platforms under The Char Lewis or 312-937-6227. We appreciate you for joining in the Super Business Women Show. We will see you next Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we want to wish CEO Lexi a very special, amazing birthday. Happy birthday, Lex.
Happy birthday.
All righty.
Think of me when you hear love breakup songs? Do you think of me and wanna apologize for your